Do you remember all the campaign promises President-elect Trump made? Well, the numbers are now officially in, and it looks like getting those things done is going to be much more difficult than House Republicans first thought they would be. You know what's coming. To the math! In the new Congress, the 119th, that begins on January 3rd, 2025, Republicans will hold 220 seats and Democrats will hold 215 seats. In the last Congress, Republicans had 222 seats. So while they're technically the majority this time, they're going to be operating with fewer members in this new Congress than they did the last 2 years. So why is that so difficult? Well, basic math, let's just start with that. In order to pass a piece of legislation, assuming all 435 House members are present and voting, you would need to get 218 votes. So the Republican Party would need to pull these 218 votes from their 220 members, which means they can only afford to lose 2 votes. 2 votes is extremely difficult to manage, especially with a Republican Party that doesn't always see eye to eye, even amongst themselves, on the best way forward. That's one of the things that's going to make Speaker Johnson's job very difficult. Now you're probably wondering, well, why wouldn't any of these 215 Democrats contribute to this 218 number? They could. It's possible. However, what the Republicans are talking about doing in terms of legislation, it's not likely that there's going to be a lot of incentive or priorities for Democrats included in those bills. So it's not likely that most of them would be voting for it. That wouldn't make any sense. And on top of that, if you're the majority party, you should really only be putting forth bills that you can at least pass with your own membership. The other wrench for Republicans going into at least the early part of 2025 is President-elect Trump has just nominated 2 Republican members from this 220 number to be part of his cabinet. Representatives Elise Stefanik and Mike Walz, if confirmed, will be leaving the House. On top of that, another Republican, Matt Gaetz of Florida, resigned. So that means this number is going to probably go down to 217 Republicans and 215 Democrats. Look at that close margin. In that case, if all these members are present and voting, the math shifts a little. And in order to get a bill passed, you would need to get 217 votes. In the same scenario that we've been talking about, to get 217 votes on a Republican priority bill, Speaker Johnson is going to have to pull them from this number, which is also 217. That is 0 room for error, a 0 margin. That's never happened. That is another reason why Speaker Johnson's job is going to be extremely difficult in this Congress. Obviously, those 3 seats for Stefanik, Gaetz, and Walz are not going to be vacant for long. But at this point, the election for Walz and Gaetz' seat won't happen until April of 2025. And because Representative Stefanik hasn't yet officially resigned her seat, her election hasn't even been scheduled yet. So that means that Speaker Johnson is going to be dealing with this 0 wiggle room majority for at least the first 100 days of Trump's presidency. And that is the time that Republicans were hoping to make the most progress on their policy agenda. That's when they were going to try and pass budget reforms and immigration and tax reform. But with 0 wiggle room, that is going to become extremely difficult. And these 215 Democrats may have more of a say in what goes into those pieces of legislation than they will later on in the Congress.